Hello, welcome once again. My name is Daryl Kwao. Thanks for tuning in. In our first story, the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, GIPC, is looking at offering citizenship to some category of investors in return for capital. The move is part of several reforms that the center is implementing to improve investment into the country. The initiative would only apply to persons that bring a certain amount of capital. Yofi Grant is chief executive of the GIPC.
There are many others that we are looking at GIPC, which we will bring to the table for discussion. For example, creating a 10-year tax-free regional hub for Accra or Ghana, meaning that if you set up your regional hub in Ghana, you can have a 10-year corporate tax-free business model, so far as you have certain job creation indicators included in your business. And there's a large part of it in technology transfer and renewable, sustainable energy use. So we are trying to be creative in making the investment attractive. We are also looking at putting in certain other attractive measures. For example, if you invest, an individual and invest up to $5 million, we might consider you for a Ghanaian passport or something we are calling the Ghanaian green card. If you invest a certain amount in properties, then we might consider you given that green card. So you can live there because we attract your investment. So there are quite a number of things that we are thinking of doing. Even at the GIPC, we are looking at our own laws. For example, how useful has capital limits been in protecting our industries? And the research is telling us that it has done very little in protecting our industries. So we are thinking that we should remove those capital limits, but rather infuse incentives for indigenous industries to enable them compete effectively with any other investor that comes, and create a rule-based business environment instead of an exclusivity-based business environment. So that in itself is good. Now we're also looking at other areas. For example, some of the areas that have been restricted to only Ghanaians. And I think that those ones, for example, are a bit problematic. Why should we restrict, for example, taxis, the driving of taxis? In today's world with technology and innovation, so services like Uber, then we'll be breaking the law, because that's a taxi service, but it's strictly reserved for Ghanaians, and it says that then if you're not Ghanaian, you can't operate a taxi. So Uber, which is not Ghanaian, shouldn't operate. But we rather open up the space for more investment and for more business, for Ghanaians to participate in the value chain of our businesses, because we also want to create jobs. So in doing so, we will create a lot of jobs.
The Ghana Mine Workers Union has petitioned President Akufo-Addo and the Minister of Mines and Natural Resources, John Peter Amewu, to sanction operators and directors of the Owere Mines located at Konongo in the Ashanti region. Now, a letter signed by the Mine Workers Union Konongo Branch Secretary Francis Owusu claimed the company is operating illegally. This development, the union says, has led to the depletion of the Owere River, which serves as a source of drinking water for communities in the area. There's more in this report.
The Konongo Owere Mines, which covers a concession of about 125 kilometers square, was acquired for large-scale operations in 2004. However, the union claims half of the concession has been released by the managers of the company to some illegal operators under the guise of small-scale mining. In an interview with Joy Business, Francis Owusu, secretary of the Konongo branch of the Ghana Mine Workers Union, called on the presidency to intervene.
The company, we acquire a license for large-scale mining, and not for what? A small-scale or whatever galamsey activities. So for you to give the concession or to sit down and negotiate with these galamseyers and give portion of the concession for them to work so that we can take a portion of their proceeds, it's never done anywhere. Since November 2016. If you recall, in 2016, we did demonstration against encroachers of these illegal miners in our concession. It is the same directors who gave us money to demonstrate against these illegal miners, and it is very surprising that now they are in bed with these guys.
Have you reported this issue to the appropriate authorities?
Yes, I've written a petition on behalf of the workers to the Minister of Mines and Natural Resources, and even petition the Office of the President, the Minerals Commission, the Chamber of Mines, Inspectorate, the Office of Otumfo, Ashanti Regional Minister, the Divisional Police Commander, and all those people who matters in this issue. And as we speak, They have not done anything about it. The issue is that when these galamseys came in 2016, the directors told us that if we sat down and wait these galamseys to take over the mines, they cannot pay us. So they sponsored us to demonstrate against galamsey, and the then president, His Excellency John Mahama, responded by giving us a military. And as we speak, we have military on site, and the galamsey activity is still what? Ongoing.
So the galamsey activities are going on at the site whilst the military
is there. That is the problem we have.
So you mean the military are protecting the galamsey?
That is it. The military are rather even protecting the galamsey.
On his part, General Secretary of the Union, Prince William Ankra, called on the Minerals Commission to investigate and prosecute the directors of the company if found culpable.
That's a rumor to a large extent, but my branch colleagues are very sure that, look, this is what's going on.
Have you investigated it?
No, we are not doing anything on our own. We expect, obviously, the Mineral Commission to do the right investigation. That the regulatory authority do so, then get the right result. On our part, we're concerned about what goes on, and what is bad is that where the government have been made aware. So there's a regulatory body like Mineral Commission that can task their team to look and see how far things are going.
The union also demanded the release of their unpaid salaries by the company since January 2016, which has worsened the plight of the workers.
We're moving on now to another story making waves this week. It has to do with black market activities in the petroleum sector. And the National Petroleum Authority, NPA, is to impose taxes on petroleum exports bound for landlocked countries in the coming weeks. This is part of medium to long-term measures towards finding a lasting solution to fuel smuggling. A fuel smuggling syndicate uncovered last week at the Tema port is said to have so far deprived the country of at least 850 million Ghana cedis by way of tax evasion. NPA Chief Executive Hassan Tampoli has been explaining how this has been possible and the way forward.
They bring in some of these things and then they indicate that they are selling for exports, and they end up selling it within the country. And that's what we call round tripping. So they take it around. A truck will load petroleum products ostensibly to take it to Mali, and the following day that same truck is back at the depot in Tema. And now one wonders whether those trucks are using jet fighter engines, but it's not possible for you to move today in the morning to go to Bamako, and then you come back the following morning to load again. Something is definitely missing. So when we impose taxes on those petroleum products, the equivalent of the tax, you would have paid it here. When you get evidence that you have discharged, the information is sent to the Ministry of Finance in Mali or Burkina Faso, then we will credit your accounts with a tax refund. So genuine business people or genuine exporters would not have a problem with these measures that we are putting in place. They have indicated that is coming up, but we have assured them that there will be no need for them to lay off their workers, because government takes a very serious view of the smuggling of petroleum products into the country, and the plots to demonstrate the commitment of the stakeholders to help us stem the tide and then correct the markets and make sure that the OMCs are in business and they don't get to lay off their workers.
Meanwhile, oil marketing companies say the unfair competition posed by these smugglers have unduly affected their operations to the extent that they may have no option but to lay off about 4,000 workers in the weeks coming unless urgent action is taken against the illegal activities. Henry Akwabwa is the MD for oil marketing company Engine Petroleum.
Well, it is affecting our sales volume. Last year alone, we lost about 25%, sales through these activities. Now, the modus operandi again is that some of the perpetrators take products around some of our service stations. And if you don't have a control mechanism in place, then they easily dump these products into your network. Now, it exposes us as oil marketing companies because then your quality is also compromised, if you don't have dealers who have integrity. So it is affecting our sales. That's one way they've been doing it. The other way is that now when you go to Kumasi, Tamale, and other cities, you find people retailing petroleum products in gallons by the roadside. How can a civilized country like Ghana look on whilst this goes on? This is a hazard, waiting to explode. So what happens is that these gallons again are taken to the lorry parks. So vehicles, instead of coming to buy fuel from the service stations, rather buy from these peddlers, so to speak. Well, a lot of oil marketing companies are affected. I'm sure you've heard about news of oil marketing companies laying workers off, etc. If this continues, I mean, that is going to happen. As an association or as oil marketing companies, there's very little we can do. The NPA, I know, is putting in measures to curtail this. I mean, they need the support of the security agencies and the broader stakeholder groups in the downstream industry.
All right. Finally, the practical steps to make this.
Ms. Akwaba also outlined the way forward for the downstream petroleum sector of the country.
Okay. In my opinion, I think that I think something that the MP is also considering doing. Export products per se do not attract taxes. So what needs to be done is that we need to put some taxes on the prices, so that once you're able to prove that indeed the products were sent out of the country, then there could be some kind of a tax refund for you. The other thing is also to mark the products designated as export, whereby it's different from the products being sold on the local market. And the other thing also is to make sure that the documentation process is such that actual importers or exporters deal with the bulk distribution companies. But I mean, today, anybody can walk up to a bulk distribution company and say, I'm buying products for export. What is the proof that indeed you have a customer outside Ghana who is going to buy your product? So the documentation process is one. The other is to load the price with taxes, which will be refundable once you prove that the product was exported. And of course, to put some trackers on the vehicles that load products as export to sell. The trackers are able to determine the quantity of products on any particular vehicle at any point in time. So once this is done and the monitoring scheme is put in place, we'll be on our way to curtailing this menace.
In another development, the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers Ghana is calling on governments, the NPA and the GRA to ensure immediate arrests and prosecution of all players in the criminal activity without fail. The Chamber says these people have clearly benefited in one way or the other from criminal proceeds that destroy both the country and the downstream petroleum sector. It says the disturbing menace will certainly continue to grow beyond tolerable limits and destroy Ghana's downstream sector if no concrete efforts are taken to immediately curtail the nefarious activities. Executive Secretary of the Chamber, Duncan Amwa, spoke on the marketplace earlier today.
We are saying that this is not a system perpetuated by spirits or by angels from some other space that we cannot see or control. It is clear that the active collusion and connivance of some of these officials have seen this cabal perpetuate themselves into business and have become more of a permanent feature downstream. We are saying that for those BNI officials who sit at the ports, for those national security officials, for those Ghana Revenue Authority officials who watch vessels discharge products into BRVs, and these products eventually get out of the main ports onto the market to be sold to Ghanaians untested. We think it is not only a breach of their code of work, but it is also a breach of public trust. Now, they are put there to ensure something is done in the minimum to safeguard, one, the Ghanaian people, and two, the industry. They have let everybody down. Where 850 is in the pockets of individuals, Emmanuel. Right, now, you wonder which of the labs would have done any Q&Q testing to be able to certify a good product for the market. But they find themselves into people's tongues. We are tired of the rhetoric. We want to see people arrested and prosecuted immediately.
You're watching Business Live. Stay with us. We are taking a short break. When we come back, we'll bring you the Joy Business Van. Welcome back to the program. Shea is a major cash crop which is cultivated mainly in the northern part of the country. Its production into shea butter provides a source of livelihood for close to 1 million women in that part of the country. These women, however, benefit the least from this venture. Social enterprise Seacup Ghana Limited is supporting some of these women to change the story. The Joy Business van today makes its way to Seacup Shea Butter Village, where these women are being taught innovative production methods. Justice Beidou is in the driving seat. In the northern regional town of Zugu, these women are processing shea butter. It's gradual and very tiring, but this is a major source of livelihood for most women here, about 1 million of them. They were excluded by tradition from land access but allowed ownership of shea nuts. Shea has got immense economic potential to lift these women out of poverty. However, they're unable to tap into it because they're not able to produce in very large commercial quantities and lack access to available markets. That is the challenge Senyuk Peli wanted to tackle when he co-founded Seacup Ghana Limited 13 years ago.
The women who collect the shea nuts are not organized. They are not in cooperatives, so they have weak bargaining power. So we decided that we have to train the women into cooperatives. So all our women groups are in cooperatives now. The women were also processing the butter from their homes, and that was very difficult to control the quality. And so we introduced the centralized processing system, which we call the Seacup Shea Butter Village model.
The Seacup Shea Butter Village, located at Kaselgo, 6 kilometers from the northern regional town of Tamale, is where the women are taught to produce shea butter through innovative methods. Senyo shows us how the machinery works.
The women used to use a lot of energy to knead, but we have moved away from that one.
Thanks to these equipment, the women are able to knead 3,000 kilograms of shea butter in a day, compared with 700 kilograms if they were kneading in the traditional way.
When we entered the industry some 13 years ago, we noticed all the problems in the industry, especially quality. So we came out with a standard method of harvesting and processing the shea nuts. We came out with a standard method of processing the shea nuts into shea butter using the traditional method, so the quality can meet international standard. We are also pioneers in producing finished products.
Senyo and his team decided to add more value to the shea butter produced by the Women Cooperative, and that birthed Tama Cosmetics.
Tama products are produced from the purest possible natural ingredients. We use shea butter mainly as our key ingredients, but we also make use of baobab oil. We also use neem oil. And this is our shea butter soap for very, very sensitive skin. It moisturizes more than anything you can find on the market.
Seacup has been able to produce a variety of natural and therapeutic cosmetic products based on research. It aims to make Tama a global brand.
The market is very, I would say, complex. You need to meet standards. Recently, we are trying to enter the European Union, and it's taken us some time for our product to be finally approved to enter the European market. The market exists, but the standards are very high, and only products like Tama, which make effort to meet the international standards, are able to penetrate the international market more effectively.
Seacup has received so many recognitions for its contribution to growing the shea industry in Ghana, including Company of the Year in the Toiletries and Cosmetics category at the 2016 AGI Industry Awards and Indigenous Product of the Year at the 2014 Ghana Made Awards. Apart from creating jobs for women here and adding value to shea butter, Seacup is now investing in producing biogas from waste shea cake. It started initiatives to protect Ghana's shea trees from depletion.
We are going to go into shea nursery and then encourage communities to plant more shea trees. It's very sad to see some commercial farming activities taking place in the shea zone, and they cut all the shea trees to plant mango. I mean, the sad side is that when there is a persistent drought, we're creating the Sahara in the savannah, which is not good.
It is estimated that annual earnings from the shea industry currently stands at $175 million, comprising export revenues from the raw nuts and processed butter. And that was Senyuk Peli's story, doing great stuff with shea butter. Now time for some computer tidbits on Busy Bits.
So how fast do you type? And what are you doing to improve your speed? Here's where to go to try testing your typing speed. typingtest.com. Then you might want to consider some free typing games to help you improve your performance. freetypinggame.net, learninggamesforkids.com, fantotype.com, and when you're ready, you can take on the world in an online typing competition. typeracer.com.
And some economists are making a strong case for the IMF program to be extended. It follows reports that the IMF is currently pushing government to extend the program. Now, sources say the fund's move has been influenced by concerns that Ghana may not be able to implement the necessary reforms before the completion date of April 2018. Joy Business understands the program could be extended to December next year or even 2019. Professor Peter Korte is one of those economists who thinks that it's in the best interest of government to go for an extension.
The IMF program brings credibility to the country. You recall the period we went to the IMF, credibility was very low, and therefore the exchange rate was very volatile. So there was a need to go to the IMF as the second best option because our homegrown policies have not worked to the best of our ability. So extending the program, in my view, would offer us the opportunity to clean up the mess, because the one question we should be asking ourselves is how would we have performed without the IMF? I believe at the time that we went to the IMF, things were really in dire state. And therefore, I believe we should extend it, not for too long though, extend it and make sure they help us clean up. Once we stabilize and we think the economy is in shape, then we can opt out. But I don't think...
Are you for the December extension, or even there have been proposals for even end of 2018? What are you looking at?
Well, I think December will be too early, in my view. Maybe mid-2018 or end 2018 will be more appropriate. We allow...
And our time is up. We'll see you tomorrow. My name is Daryl Kwao. More business news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business.